founder of originally Stout, but MVP Analytics. You're here as a speaker and as a guest of the foremost analytics conference in the country, and you have invented a hell of a product. Why don't you tell people about it?
Well, what we set out to do is find a way to become the currency for social media, sports, and entertainment. It's kind of that simple. So we go from traditional media and the measurement platforms there to digital, and social being the fastest growing piece and the most engaging piece of digital media. There wasn't an index, there wasn't a real good measurement standard, so that's our mission.
And I know for a fact years ago you were looking to try to figure out what the niche was. And what do you do first? Do you develop the methodology and perfect it? Do you identify who the corporate clients are and sell it in, or is it a combination of both?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both for a couple of reasons. One, it's new.
Right.
So there wasn't a proven methodology. There are traditional measurement metrics, which is really the foundation, right? Impressions, CPM, CPCs. So those are the foundation of valuation. But how do you amplify social? What factors really make sense? And we used some expertise that we have within the company, and we had to go out to clients, and those who write the checks ultimately for the ads and for the analytics, and ask them, what's important? Does this make sense? So about 2 years worth of working through our platform and the weightings and how we actually get to our calculations is probably the most critical part of the process.
The notion that an endorsement deal is cut at a golf course because a CEO likes the way somebody plays golf or basketball or whatever, those days are long gone, maybe never happened. I mean, the analytics really carry the day, don't they?
I think that's the case going forward. There's some of that. I mean, obviously it's people are so passionate about sports, and certain products and product categories, fit really well in certain sports categories. So before you get into analytics, you know where you want to be, you know where you should be for a lot of corporate brands. But now to stay there, to grow your investment, you've got to have the data to support it. Whether it's a team in the NBA, or it's an individual athlete you're supporting, or you're getting into esports and you're trying to figure out where and when and in what capacity.
What's so unique about the product?
We're tracking everything. Every conversation around professional sports in the US and Europe, and I say everything on the major social platforms. So we go back 8.5, 9 years now with data, so we can show what's trending, what conversations happened 8 years ago for a brand around their endorsements and their sponsorships relative to a certain league or team or set of athletes that they endorse.
From a social media perspective.
From a social media perspective specifically and only. So we're focused there. We can plug in and be complementary to other solutions that are very well known. We can be part of a consultant's solution as an independent good housekeeping seal of approval, third party validation. So I think that's what's unique, is that we're looking at the whole landscape. Most analytics are done around a brand, a team, a league, or a specific asset.
So background of Shawn Spieth, Dallas-based engineer? Dallas-based entrepreneur.
Dallas-based entrepreneur.
Right.
Sales and marketing background. We've got engineers and data guys a lot smarter than me, thank goodness, running the platform.
Well, but they're smarter in different areas. So the epiphany moment, which is really kind of a visionary perspective, you see the value of social media, and you obviously see how athletes move the needle, the ultimate irony given your son. But you decide that there is something special. When was the epiphany to say, look at social media, this is a happenstance kind of thing, it's arbitrary, we're going to enter the field and I'm going to do it?
Yeah, the stars kind of aligned. I had a couple of kids as athletes, but one of them turned professional, and went out and talked to a lot of brands and a lot of agents and agencies and asked, how do you value them and their relationships with their brand sponsors? Who should we be aligned with? Who should Jordan be aligned with? Who should up and coming actors, actresses, singers, football players be aligned with? And they were traditional measurement, traditional answers, and there really wasn't an awful lot of thought given to social alignment, right? Who do they engage with? Who engages with golf? Who engages with 19, 20, 21-year-olds that are from certain places?
So you have the ability to sit around at Thanksgiving dinner and actually talk to Jordan about what works and what doesn't from a social media perspective. So it's the ultimate test case. Kind of interesting.
It's fun, and at times, depending upon what happened a week or two prior,
clearly,
it may be something we choose not to talk about,
right,
so we can enjoy Thanksgiving.
Right, I did. We're not supposed to. I stayed away from you after the Masters for a few weeks, by the way.
Yeah,
so,
I stayed away from my son too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So this is going also to a New England distribution audience. We don't need to know the numbers, but give us a kind of a generalization. Who's hot? We don't forget who's not. Who's hot in New England sports? It's obviously Brady and Under Armour, but
Gronk's at the top of our index in football, not surprisingly, because of the way he engages with his audience.
Right.
So for the right products, the right markets, the right targets, he's as good as it gets. Tom Brady's a totally different personality, obviously. Fits other segments extremely well. The Celtics do some really cool fanatical things, as do a lot of the teams here. So it's interesting, but what we see is we're not just comparing NBA teams, or football players to football players. We're looking across whatever horizon makes sense for that asset or for that group.
Are the Red Sox going to miss Ortiz from a social media perspective?
Absolutely. Yeah, he's got a several $million social media footprint, and it was enormous last year. He's done a really nice job of keeping his engagement with his fans.
Right, and hockey, are you a hockey fan?
I'm a little bit of a hockey fan, yeah.
So the Bruins have had a long-term tradition here, so they've got a social media following as well.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's interesting. We do some work for some hockey teams, and to see how the local and regional engagement fits relative to the top brands in the sport and what works for them on a national level. Lots of really, really good opportunities with regional partnerships, and you wouldn't expect who some of the brands are. So we'll go look at quick serve restaurants, and the traditional companies that the teams are engaging and selling aren't the right fit socially. So there are some social only engagements, some social only endorsements now that are happening for teams, certainly for athletes and entertainers. It's been the case for a little longer than it is for teams and leagues.
So you have bridged the gap and do entertainers now as well?
We have. I mean, we've done it specifically for brand clients that wanted us to look at influencers in certain segments. Entertainment's large, huge, and it's fragmented. So we've wanted to become the de facto standard, become the currency in sports, and then with that brand, with that ability to go back to our clients and say, you've got YouTube influencers, you've got influencers in music, you've got influencers in all kinds of different genres. Our platform works. It doesn't matter what the asset is, the platform works. We'll apply it.
Who needs this more? The corporation about to make an endorsement decision, the athlete who needs to respond better on social media, the teams who need to keep their athletes in check or promote them, or a combination?
I think the brands, first and foremost. There are a lot of really good consultants that can help the individual athletes, and their agencies do a really nice job of helping them with their brand, their personal brand, their social activation. Same with the teams. It's a little smaller environment to operate in. Where we really add value is when we look at the entire ecosystem, and you can just pull things out that you can't see if you're looking at a region or you're looking at a specific sport.
So, bottom line of MVP Index, and shameless plug, we've been partners on the Power 100 methodology, on course, on field, off course. The interesting thing that I found after doing that is that it's very little other research that can be delivered to people on who moves the needle and how they move the needle relative to on-field and off-field performance. You'd have thought it had been done earlier, but that's precisely why you're in the business.
That's exactly why we're in the business.
5-year plan. What does MVP look like 5 years from now?
We have an opportunity to go from a B2B platform for the advertisers and the brands that are trying to maximize their endorsements to taking every influencer that's relevant or every segment that really wants to do the best job they can do and understand where they are and what they're worth. So it can be every youth soccer player, it could be every youth athlete, it could be every band member that wants to opt into our platform, get best practices, kind of pay for a premium service. That's the big opportunity.
How long does it take Madison Avenue to get unlazy and catch up and really evaluate for purposes of their own corporate clients, how to monetize based on social media, based on the internet, and get out of the whole rut of traditional advertising budgets?
Well, I think it's happening now. It is happening now. Sports, live sports is what people want to watch on TV. So we have a little bit of a paradigm shift that takes longer than a brand that's progressive and knows I can go sell 250,000 pair of shoes to this market because I've got this celebrity attached to it. And that micro-targeting is happening. Some very, very intelligent solutions. All we're trying to do is measure that and then compare it to every other type of activation that's going on and let the marketers know what works and, relatively speaking, what's valuable.
It's an incredible context, too, because you're a brand guy and you are a do the right thing guy in that context. You've got an incredible daughter. You've got a son that's an amazing basketball player, but also academic All-American Brown. And you've got a golfer who's probably the best golfer on the planet, but he's also one of the best human beings on the planet. So your wife did a good job.
I was just going to say, Rick, we need to thank my wife for all of that.